if somebody misses it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are so super excited that you have joined our community for education. And what I want to talk about is what we're going to be talking about is soy. Like I think 2 weeks ago, I posted on my Facebook page. Does anybody have questions or concerns? Do you eat soy, even if it's organic, or do you not eat soy? And if you don't, why not? So we're going to be discussing that. But I want to talk a little bit about our community. I've been a part of this community for 17 years, and I have learned so much. I have gotten so much education from so many people, like the knowledgeable people that are going to be talking tonight, way smarter than me. And we'd love to educate people. We love to help you by answering the questions and concerns that you might have. So the community is Juice Plus. I have the capsules back there. I know that we're going to be talking a little bit about that. It's just fruits and vegetables and berries in a capsule. We have the omegas, we have shakes, we have Tower Garden. I'm just going to say that really quickly. We're not doing a slideshow. This is going to be me almost being like Jimmy Kimmel, where I'm just going to be interviewing people. I've got my questions, and I'm just going to be asking, Nalani and Lydia. First of all, when you guys speak, if you could introduce yourselves and tell what your background is. And then what I'm going to do is just, let you know what the concern or the question was from the people that commented on my Facebook page. So we are going to address the elephant in the room first. I think it is the number one, and it is breast cancer. People who have, the mutated BRCA gene, and maybe somebody can explain what that is, because I don't know if everybody understands what that is. But people that have breast cancer, people that are breast cancer survivors, I think that they're told just to stay away from soy. So I would love for you guys to address that. I don't know who wants to go first. Maybe Nalani. So I will say, Nalani, maybe you should, because you are a breast cancer survivor. So I think that's awesome.
All righty. Well, welcome everybody. I'm really happy to have this conversation. I think it's a really important one. In fact, I know it is. And there is a lot of confusion around this issue. So I'm happy to be able to help. And I will share briefly my own personal experience. In 1996, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and told by more than one doctor that my only option was surgery. Thankfully, I didn't have it. I was introduced to Dr. Phil Valentine, and he taught me to heal myself with no drugs, no herbs, and without a lot of vitamins, using two things: proper nutrition and proper thinking. It made me go back to school, though, to find out why I had that diagnosis, because I thought I was healthy. I ate very well. I've been studying nutrition since 1968, telling everybody else how to eat, and I thought I was healthy. And the bottom line is that none of us is getting the nutrition that we think we're getting. I don't care who we are, vegan, vegetarian, raw. The food that we're eating today has lost some of it. The produce has lost up to 80% of its nutritional content. And so I was juicing every single day after healing myself of cancer. And I will get to your answer. I had lost some range of motion in one of my hands. I had so much inflammation in my body that I lost range of motion. And that's when I was introduced to whole food concentrates. And it did not heal me. It did not cure me. We make no claims, because there's no such thing as a cure. There is such a thing as healing. And it gave me what I thought I was getting from all that juicing I was doing. I was juicing every single day, organic, 80% raw. I thought I was the picture of health and had all of that. So then I thought this would be my short story, but evidently it's not. Over time, though, didn't happen overnight. As my blood improved, which is extremely important to understand what nutrition can do, what good nutrition can do. As my blood improved, I regained complete range of motion in my fingers, and I take these 2-hour nonstop Zumba classes that have people a third my age falling out. So I feel, and I'm taking these Pure Barre classes. Oh my goodness. These Pure Barre classes that will test you to the nth degree. Anyway, at age 72, going on 73 in November, I have the vitality that I had when I was in my 30s, and that's the truth. Soy, and I've even forgotten the question that you asked about soy.
Sorry, about breast cancer. There's a lot of people.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Let me explain this. Animals have estrogen. A soy is a plant. It is a bean. Soy does not have estrogen. And what confuses people is that they've heard that soy has SERMs, SERM, which are selective estrogen receptor modulators. And what that does, what that means is that it is going to attach, it does the very opposite of what people think it means. It attaches to the receptors and it lets the body know, close the door, we have enough. It makes the body think that they've got all of this estrogen. So it says, okay, we have our supply, we don't want any more, shut the door. And that's what those SERMs are. And there has been more than one, there have been more than one study, but the one that I'm thinking of is one that was published in the journal of, no, not that one. This one was done by the, oh gosh, Anderson, MD Anderson. And if there was any population that you would want to be careful about estrogen, it is stage 4 ovarian cancer patients. Yes. And this study was done with the Juice Plus, which we haven't talked about yet, which is whole food nutrition, live, raw nutrition in a capsule. We'll talk about that in a moment. And this soy, but this is not just soy. This is complete. It comes in vanilla and chocolate. And these patients did extremely well with the fruits and the vegetables and the protein. And this protein, okay, so this is going to help, not harm. It does the very opposite of what people think it does. And I know I'm taking some time. However, I just want to also make this clear that what people are concerned about is that people do have reactions. A lot of people have reactions to soy. Over 90% of the soy in this country has 3 things against it. Number 1, it's genetically modified. Number 2, it is heavily processed. And number 3, it is heavily sprayed, highly processed and heavily sprayed. And it's sprayed with PCBs. And those PCBs are endocrine disruptors. And that's where you have the issue with the hormones going out of whack because of the endocrine being disrupted by these sprays. And so that's one thing, that if you do have soy, just make sure that it is not heavily sprayed. And the complete has soy in it because it is so helpful. And I think Karen is going to share her own experience of where it comes to women at certain times, how it helped her. So I know I've jumped around a bit, but I just wanted to make it clear that estrogen is not in soy, period.
Yeah, I think that's just a huge myth. So Lydia, I know you have a great story to share with that as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lydia Kopika, and I'm also a nutritionist, and I'm also with the Juice Plus company. And thanks for being on tonight. And, the thing about soy is, well, a lot of it's been misinformation, and it's so confusing for people. And like Dr. Nalani was saying, a lot of what we hear and what we know is about genetically modified soy. But that is actually one of the things that brought me to this company. I was actually teaching a cooking class for Dr. Neil Barnard's The Cancer Project, if you're familiar with that. And it's eating for cancer survival and prevention and reversal. And that's when I started learning about the benefits of soy and the whole term phytonutrients and antioxidants. So even as a nutritionist, these are newer terms, like the last 10, 15 years that we're really hearing about them. And that's when I started learning the benefits and the power of plant foods. Phytonutrients are plant nutrients, phytoestrogens are plant estrogens. And that's where the benefits of soy come in, because it actually isn't an estrogen, but it blocks and reduces the effects of estrogens. And so, actually, one of the best things we can do if we're concerned about breast cancer is reducing the amount of fat in our diet. And where do we get most fat from? Animal products. And so that's what produces more estrogen in our body. So I think we're kind of getting out of focus here. And so one thing I always like to do is go back to the research. And the research we know now is, number one, this Dr. Neil Barnard. He's a world leading authority on plant foods. And there is a Dr. Mark Messina. He's considered the world leading authority on soy. And so there's a lot of articles I could share with people if they're interested, but you can Google it. And he is a proponent of soy in our diets. But it has to be the non-genetically modified soy, which most of what we're getting, like in our hot dogs since 1960s, everywhere else in our diet, has been genetically modified soy, which is a whole different beast, really, a whole different compound. And so we just need to focus on the current research. And so going back, I was looking for a clean shake protein powder that I could mix up in my car on the go. And that's one of the things when I was introduced to Juice Plus, it all made sense to me. The antioxidants, the phytonutrients, that's really what we're missing in our diets. And then when I was told about the shakes, they're non-GMO, better than organic, clean source of protein. And how do we know that? Because we have an NSF certification. It's a third-party nonprofit company that certifies what's on our label is true, and that our soy is clean. And so what I wasn't expecting, though, well, first of all, I have an autoimmune disease, and I started noticing large improvements in my autoimmune disease and reversal of my symptoms. But I'm almost 64, and talk about no hot flashes. I mean, that's something that I wasn't expecting, but people started talking about it, and I'm like, I've never experienced that. Also, I used to be on thyroid meds for Hashimoto's, and it's helped balance out, I guess, my thyroid. I'm no longer on medications for that. I mean, I'm not saying it cures it, but these are some of the things I've noticed from my own use. And so, I mean, I love those products and the shakes especially. And it saddens me to think that people are avoiding good quality soy because it has so many health benefits. So thanks for that.
My hypothesis is that it's easier for doctors just to tell people stay away from soy because people don't know how to read labels sometimes, right? Like they're going to see soy, and a lot of people don't read labels or they don't understand it. So I think it's easier for doctors just to say don't eat soy. So I'm so glad that we're talking about this and we can share it with people. And it's so funny because you guys have jumped around and you've already answered some of the questions, but I will say that for me, when I started with Juice Plus 17 years ago, I wasn't expecting anything. I really didn't understand how it was different than a vitamin. I'd always taken vitamins, never really felt any different, but my mom was a nurse and was always told to take the vitamins. So I actually started it while I was pregnant. And by the end of the pregnancy, what I failed to leave out was that I grew up with allergies and asthma, migraines, digestive issues. By the end of the pregnancy, I wasn't experiencing any of that. And it now has been through diet changes, right? Eliminating almost completely dairy, unless it's a thing, that's a trigger for me. Eliminating a lot of the unhealthy foods and adding in so many of the healthy foods along with the Juice Plus. I haven't been on any medication in 17 years, which has been remarkable. But as far as and I've been drinking the shakes for, I think, 15 or 16 years. As far as 15, 16 years ago, I wasn't having hot flashes. I wasn't at that age. It wasn't until I think about a year ago that all of a sudden, like 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh, it's a little warm. And I would complain because my husband's always cold. We need to turn down the air. And I never got night sweats. It was never hot, but it was just a little warm. So something came across from Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine from Dr. Neil Barnard that they were going to be doing a short study with people with soy and being vegan, eliminating animal proteins, and to see how that's going to work with the menopause. And so I did sign up for that. And what was awesome is that by week 3, no more even warm flashes. I never had a hot flash, thankfully, but no more warm flashes. And it's been almost a year and I haven't had any symptoms. So, and I know that soy is a part of it because we had to eat a half a cup of organic soybeans every single day. It got a little old, but it was, it's all good. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you really quick. So you guys we had one other person, and you've kind of addressed this, somebody who said she viewed all soy as endocrine disruptors. And I know, Nalani, you said it's only the genetically modified that does that. It's not the organic. Go ahead.
I was muted. As well as those that are sprayed, it really has to be organic, because you can have something that's genetically modified and they could claim it's organic because it's not, it's not sprayed. So you want it non-genetically modified and not sprayed because of the PCBs. And that's really a big part of it.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified. So it needs to be both non-genetically modified and organic, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that companies can get away with and find their way around. So
now you mentioned something I thought it would be important to mention, and that is that some people do have a genuine allergy or allergic reaction to soy because it's really not even a bean, but it's like peanuts. Somebody can eat peanuts and someone cannot eat peanuts, and there's a difference between that and what everybody thinks that soy is not good for anybody.
Okay, because we did have a few people that said that they're allergic. So I wonder, my only question is, I wonder when they're testing for soy to see if you're allergic. I mean, are they using like non-genetically modified organic soy to test to see if people are allergic to the good soy? Or I don't really know. I don't know how to answer that one.
I can't say, because I started to say probably not, but that would be a guess. I can't say. What I do know now, though, is that a lot of people are allergic to the sprays. I have helped people who just thought they were really allergic to strawberries, for instance, and strawberries are heavily sprayed. And there are ways to reintroduce that very carefully with the doctor's care.
And I think strengthening your immune system, I'm sure, can help, right? Because it's autoimmune, the allergies. So
absolutely.
Yep. Okay, so we had somebody, which this was different. We covered allergic for the most part. Somebody says they notice a change in their skin for the worse. She didn't get, so maybe that's an allergy, like but again, she wasn't clear on if it was non-genetically modified, organic. So I guess if somebody had an allergy, it could have been to the sprays.
And it could have been a cleansing reaction as well. You don't know. And that's why doctors ask lots of questions.
Right.
They know what they're dealing with. I don't make any recommendations without knowing a good history.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so Lydia, I want to talk to both of you, but it's interesting because somebody said that soy flares up her autoimmune. So again, I suspect that possibly she's not choosing the right soy. I don't really know, but she said it actually flares up her autoimmune and that's why she avoids it. But you had a different experience.
Well, like you said, it could be the source of the soy. And I think what's really important in our diets is what they consider rotation, it's kind of like gluten. In the US, the only starch or grain we get is gluten. And so that's why a lot of people have these sensitivities. So I think it's important that you get a variety of things, like a variety of beans. And just to touch a little bit about the allergies, a lot of times if people get a stomach upset, every time they use something, they might think it's an allergic reaction. But like Dr. Nalani was saying, that, if something's heavily sprayed, that's going to impact our gut health. You know what I mean? It starts breaking down our gut lining, and that could have something to do with it. And also, I know I definitely went through not I guess a cleansing, but whatever you've got going on, when you detox, whatever you've got going on in your body, if it's eczema or an autoimmune, whatever your symptoms are, those will get worse. And I went through that. And somebody said to me, you could go slower, you can go fast, but you will come out ahead. And I definitely got worse before I got better. So it could be that too. It definitely could be something like that. And again, too, soy is also high in fiber. And a lot of times we're not used to that. And that could have something to do with these symptoms that they're feeling.
I like that you said you got worse before you got better, because there's a substrate, there's something missing in the body when you have that kind of a reaction like that. Most of the time, everybody's different. Most cases, there's something out of balance in the body. And once you address that with good nutrition, not just what we're talking about, but overall good nutrition, making the right choices, cutting certain things out that today in our society are so easy to get a hold of because they're so convenient. And the foods that are most convenient are the ones that are heavily sprayed and highly processed. And so once we cut some of that out, you'll find, and then you flood your body, as we say, with good nutrition, with concentrated nutrition, you can address these things. The body adjusts and the body heals itself. And one of the other thing that you mentioned was the fat. And I'm very glad that you did, because estrogen is it's enrobed in the fat. It's all throughout. And the fat also has, particularly belly fat, is almost like a chemical machine. And it creates a lot of other chemicals that are unhealthy for us. So as you can see from the conversation, it's not as cut and dry as people think, but what is simple, I won't say it's cut and dry, but it is simple, is the fact that we could all use more nutrition from plants.
Yep. And dairy. So dairy, I think, is a huge, right? Because of all the hormones and stuff in there, I think that is a bigger problem for people than soy. And I don't think, people don't want to give up cheese. I didn't want to give up cheese, but I realized how my body reacted, and it just wasn't important to me. Again, I use it as a treat if we have pizza night or something like that, but otherwise I just don't eat it because it's not worth it. Okay, let me see what else is on here. So I had somebody say, which this is really young, her daughter started puberty at age 7. We've kind of talked about this because of the estrogen. So she avoids the soy to slow it down. Now she said that she was giving, shakes. She was doing like Pediasure. She was doing a lot of, whey shakes. She was doing a lot of that stuff. But 7 years old is really young. So she should feel okay to give her child organic, non-genetically modified organic soy. It's not going to be a problem with the whole puberty thing.
As long as the child doesn't have a genuine allergic reaction to it. If she's allergic to it, that's something that they would have to find out. However, it would be very helpful because whey is extremely unhealthy, even though it's been put out as a health food. And once again, the milk, the dairy, it has a lot of issues besides those that we're speaking about. I mean, it's actually a cancer promoter. I'm not saying it causes cancer, it does not. However, we all have cancer cells, at any given time in our bodies, and our bodies were created to handle them. We have what we call natural killer cells, NK cells, as well as other macrophages, other cells that come into play. But if you're going to be careful about what you eat, especially a young child, of what you're giving your young child, I would go easy on the dairy, very easy on the dairy. And a lot of children, of course, we were brought up with milk, thinking that was the most important thing for strong teeth and bones. And so that's a hard one for people. Well, today it's easier because so many people have realized that they are lactose intolerant, and cow's milk really was not made for humans. But that's another subject for another day.
I don't know if you want to expand upon that or if that's good enough, Lydia.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Lydia. Let me close my mouth.
Oh, no, I'm good. I think that was great what she said. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I have two more, and I don't know if somebody wants to read through the chat to see if there's anything, because if we have a couple minutes, we can address some of those. So I have somebody else said that soy is not good for them because it gives them kidney stones. Oxalate is the enemy, and oxalates are in soy and kale, and it's very high. So how do we want to address that?
You know, from what I've read, you can find everything across the board that soy is low in oxalates and high in oxalates. I think unless you really have like kidney disease or something very concerning, I don't think it's a problem. But and again, we're not saying eat large amounts every day. And our complete isn't just soy; it's a soy blend. It's a blend of peas and beans, and so it's not like you're getting huge amounts of it. And I think first of all, everything, especially when it comes to somebody with breast cancer, you need to kind of talk to your doctor, work with your doctor, because some doctors are more educated, familiar with that than others. But I think it's something you need to discuss with your doctor if it's a real concern for you.
Yes, and you may want to find out really how educated your doctor is on nutrition as well, because sometimes they err on the side of caution, and you can't blame them. They want to be cautious. So I love what in the chat that Dr. Marina Buksov, I hope I did not butcher your name. She mentions that countries with the lowest rates of breast cancer are those that consume soy, but in traditional ways with quality and fermentation. Processed soy is a completely different pro-inflammatory story. So once again, that keeps coming up again. Processed, processed and sprayed and genetically modified. Those are the things that you want to avoid like the plague. But you don't want to avoid good soy, good, clean, quality soy that has the benefits for us.
And I know I've even seen that on the American Cancer Society's website. Like it's even on there that soy is healthy for you. So I don't know why all the myths are still out there. Okay, so I have somebody, and this is it's a little bit deeper than just they're allergic to soy. So she's allergic to proteins in certain foods. So when the protein hits her throat, her body tries to absorb it, but also thinks it's a foreign body and attacks itself. She has a thing. So this may be beyond, our soy. The triggers are soy, wheat, dairy, etc. I can't even pronounce this. It's called eosinophils. I don't know.
Eosinophils.
I don't know how to.
Eosinophils.
Okay.
Eosinophils.
And then esophagitis.
Yeah, so that's all part of the defense system, that the body will recognize some things, or maybe they shouldn't recognize it, but they do. And that, once again, is the body being out of balance. And once the body is brought back into balance, the natural defenses will take place, and then your white blood cells and all that, they're all different kinds, but that's just one name of a type of white blood cell. So it's important to look at the whole body and to look at the entire diet and to look at all of the 5 pillars of health. What are they drinking? How are they sleeping? Are they exercising? What are they eating? All of those things, to bring the body back into balance so that they may not even have an allergy anymore. You never know. Are they eating totally organic? Are they eating food that have been sprayed that will cause allergic reactions as well? So I hope that was helpful.
That was great. Okay, so I'm done with the questions, unless there was anything else in the chat. I don't know. I haven't read through it. So if anybody has read through it, is there any other questions?
Okay, someone had asked. Well, I guess that was it.
Somebody said something about, what about any kind of cancer? Like we talked about soy with breast cancer. Is soy beneficial for other cancers, or?
That study that I mentioned, stage 4 ovarian cancer patients, stages 2 through 4 ovarian cancer patients, it proved helpful for them as well. And that's yeah.
Again, Dr. Neil Barnard's class, it's for cancer reversal. It's not any certain type of cancer. And you follow a program where he has, like for the class, we would make different recipes every class. And I will tell you, every week there was some sort of a soy-based item in those recipes for the day. So he's a big proponent of soy. And I think you could probably go on the PCRM website and look up some more information there too about soy. And a lot of good recipes too.
So let's also talk about man boobs. I know that there's a lot of men who will not eat soy because they're afraid they're going to get, it's the estrogen. I mean, now we know we talked about it, but you know, the estrogen and everything. So I don't know if we briefly want to say something with that.
I'm sorry, I was responding to someone. The question.
You know, I don't think there's any proof as far as that's concerned from what I've read that that addresses that. So I think, and again, it even states it in this book that soy will decrease estrogen and testosterone. So I think it would be beneficial for men.
What was the question?
The man boobs, right? I know men who will not do soy, the shake or anything because of that.
Eat McDonald's, right? But the animal fat, which has all of that, really has estrogen. There's no question about estrogen in animal fat and in milk, animal products.
Perfect.
Milk and dairy.
Perfect. All right. Well, unless anybody has anything else, I am so appreciative to Dr. Nalani and Lydia for coming on, because I'm going to tell you in the first 5 minutes, I was already learning stuff. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just such great information. And I love to be able to share that with people. So we are going to be recording this. This did live stream in our Simple Changes to Better Health group. So if somebody's in there, you can tag them in this you know, live stream if they weren't able to make it. You're welcome to add people to that group. They do not have to be a part of the Juice Plus community. They don't have to be a customer, or you can just invite your loved one to join, because we try and educate. Right now, we're actually doing 7 days of salads and smoothies, and there's so many great recipes going on in there. So it's really just about healthy living. And we do a lot of these events to try and educate people as well. So I just thank you guys so much for sharing. And I don't know if you have any last words. Otherwise, we're going to sign off.
Well, I just want to say that before you sign off, take a look at what some have written in the chat. I'm loving it. That's going to be really helpful. And for those who are getting the recording, I'll just read this one. Sharon says, my sons have been on JP Complete with soy for 21 and 22 years and no man boobs.
Hey guys,
Thank you.
on the chat on your screen, there's 3 little dots where it says who you're writing to. There's 3 dots on the right, and one of the options there is to save the chat. So I know somebody was asking about the chat if they could save it because they liked all the stuff they were seeing.
That's awesome.
You can also ask more questions in our Simple Changes to Better Health group if you're in there. If
Oh.
you're not in there, just ask somebody. And we'll put
You
you
have
in.
to be Facebook friends. So just make sure that you're a Facebook friend with someone who's in that chat and you'll be able to.
I'm going to put a link to the group in this so they can just click right now, just in case. I think I can do that.
Can I just add to, I think a lot of us that are here today, or some of us anyway, we're just here to help inform and share healthy living, inspire people to make healthy decisions, and just to realize the importance of diet when it comes to our health. And so if anybody has any questions or, interest in maybe joining our community, we would love to share information with you. You could get back to the person that invited you today. I mean, we're just a healthy living community, and we're on a mission to inspire healthy living. And that's why a lot of us are here today.
Thank you. I'm so glad you said that. I did see where somebody put in there, how do I find Juice Plus? And somebody posted, the www, they posted the corporate website. Don't go to the corporate website. You want to thank the person that invited you to this educational Zoom, and you want to reach out to them and say, hey, I want to learn more about Juice Plus. What's your website? Let's get on the phone. So make sure you reach out to the person that invited you onto this event.
Absolutely. Well, this is a great evening, I think, just to be able to share, because people have fears and people want to know, and that's why we're here. We're here, as Karen has said, and as Lydia has said, as they both have said, we're here to share the information. I love this community because it's about education and understanding. And once you have understanding, the fear goes away. And that can take us a long way. So we thank you very much. I am looking forward to the next one.
And I'm just going to say that if you aren't looking at Dr. Nalani at almost 73 years old and saying, how do I look like that? And Lydia in her 60s looks like she's in her 40s. I mean, just gorgeous. So, all right, I'm going to stop the recording.